So, what's your name?
Reuben, what's yours?
My name is Wayne.
Okay,
Cool.
nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you as well, someone who I've known for years. So what are we here to talk about, Reuben?
Well, we're here to talk about Belgium.
Mm-hmm. The football team.
The football team who are competing in the FIFA World Cup in Qatar.
I've heard a few things about it.
Yeah. They're not very good.
No.
But people think they should be better.
Yeah. So their tournament so far, their first game was against
Canada.
A little nation above the United States called Canada.
Yeah.
Canada, I watched the game. Canada were very, very good. And were it not for the fact that apparently each one of their players wanted to be on the front page of every newspaper in the country, which wouldn't have happened anyway because no one really cares about the World Cup in Canada.
Yeah, very true.
But they probably should have scored many goals.
Yes, they should have. I mean, Davis had a penalty saved, didn't he, by Courtois. I think David missed a good chance as well. And then Belgium, luckily, got a very lucky 3 points through. A good finish from Batshuayi, who is not a particularly good footballer.
No, not really.
Not at the elite level, anyway. He's all right. But so yeah, there's a lot of chat at the moment about Belgium being old. You know, they've done quite well at quite a few tournaments. They've got to the semis a couple of times, they've got to the semis of the World Cup. They came third in that World Cup and had a big celebration actually back in Belgium, which a lot of people mocked, but I thought fair enough.
Yeah.
To be honest.
So I mean, just for people that are living under rocks at the moment, what has been the catalyst for this conversation is that Belgium lost to Morocco, didn't they? And obviously Morocco, to the untrained football fan, would seem like, well, they were a bit of a minnow compared to Belgium because Belgium have so many stars. Morocco have quite a few very, very good players. Probably the best right back in the world at the moment.
Yeah, Achraf Hakimi, and then they've also got Hakim Ziyech.
Roman Saiss, and a few other
Sofiane
good players.
Boufal, known players who have some quality.
Totally.
But you still wouldn't expect them to beat Belgium.
No, absolutely not. No.
But then again, if you watch the game, I remember watching it thinking, Belgium will probably nick this. At 0-0, I thought, Belgium will nick this and it won't be deserved.
Yeah.
But it turns out they got the result they deserved, which was a 2-0 loss.
Yeah.
Because they were all over the place.
So in the first game against Canada, Belgium were shocking.
Yeah.
And De Bruyne won man of the match. And even he said after the game, I don't think I should have won this. Maybe it's because of my name.
Yeah.
And I was watching it with a former colleague of ours, and we both agreed he was absolutely dog shit.
Yeah.
And by his standards, and actually by just general football standards, he wasn't very good.
In that team, it seems like, you know what people used to say about Bruno Fernandes, where he just kind of gets the ball and spams it into an area, and it's like...
But it's worth it because even if 2 of them out of 10 come off, you get a goal. Yeah.
And that kind of seems to be what De Bruyne does for Belgium, where he'll get the ball and he'll almost try to do it all himself because there's no cohesion there anymore.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, you're going from working... It's like let's say if we went from working with professionals to then, let's say in our international media careers working with children and animals. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like the Man City team they are so well drilled and they know exactly what they're doing and they work together on a day-to-day basis, and they're managed by Pep Guardiola. No disrespect to Roberto Martinez, but apart from like the lack of hair in his head, that's the only thing they really have that links the two of them.
Yeah.
But they get so little time to manage the team. Belgium's players are nowhere near the level of Man City's players, and so he's kind of making passes for players that don't exist on the pitch.
Yeah, exactly, because he's got Batshuayi up top, not Erling Haaland, as you said, like the structure's not there. But even so, you look at their team on paper and you think they probably still should be a bit better, but then you look at how old they all are. Jan Vertonghen's 35, Toby Alderweireld is 33.
And he's playing in...
He's back in Belgium now, but he's been in the Middle East. Eden Hazard is still only 31, but to be honest...
He's an old 31.
Absolutely washed.
He may as well be 41.
Watching this version of Eden Hazard, who still somehow has the armband, try to dribble and just
got the armband and that sweet booty.
He's got thick ass.
2 C's.
But watching him play now compared to like his peak at Chelsea, like kind of under Sarri and Conte, just an absolute shadow. And I wonder, is it a big failure of Martinez to still have players like him in there, not just him, but players like Vertonghen as well? Where are the young players replacing them? Because they have players like Leandro Trossard on the bench, who's really good for Brighton. But
he plays for Brighton.
Exactly, and Hazard plays for
And he
Real
looks
Madrid.
like a sickly Victorian child.
He does, but still somehow manages to bang goals.
Yeah. So what we're getting to here really is there's been a bit of a debate online. Some people saying that this generation of Belgian footballers has obviously had an amazing chance over a number of tournaments to succeed and win something and do all that. And people have said that, perhaps because Bobby Martinez is in charge, but maybe in spite of that, maybe because of that, whatever, that this generation has failed to live up to their potential. Do you believe that they have?
I think using the word failed is quite harsh, to be honest, because international football is so different to club football.
Yeah.
Even when people say, for example, if you're related to club football, someone you mentioned earlier, Pep Guardiola, hasn't yet won the Champions League with Man City. Does that mean he's failed there? No.
Yes.
Because,
no.
I mean, he's won loads of other stuff, and it's always down to fine margins, etc., etc. And with Belgium, they've come close. They lost the semi-final to France, who went on to win the World Cup. They got knocked out in the quarters last summer by Italy, who went on to win the Euros. There's no shame in losing to either of those teams. And also, something people ignore is that while Belgium have had world-class players like Hazard, Lukaku, De Bruyne, Moussa Dembele back in the day, Toby and Jan, Vincent Kompany and Courtois, that spine is brilliant. In the wide, they've not really ever had any good fullbacks, which is why you see like Thomas Meunier, he can attack. He doesn't like defending. And then
Put some respect on Nasser Chadli's name. All right.
Well, the fact that Nasser Chadli and Yannick Carrasco have both had to do shifts at wing-back shows that they've never had a good left-back. And that's part of the beauty of international football, is that everyone has a weakness like that. So I think it's hard to say, because would any other manager have done much better with them?
I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, like I would say that they've probably failed to play as good a football as they possibly could, given the level of talent on the pitch. But like, you look back at, let's say the last whatever 2 tournaments. You're talking, like these tournaments are difficult to win. Do you know what I mean? One team goes into them, or whatever, 32 teams go into them. One team wins. It's not always the best team that wins. And same in the Champions League. It's not always the best team in Europe that wins it. It's just the team that happens to get lucky and play well at the right times.
Yeah.
I think that it's like really, and the real failure in Belgium's kind of recent history is probably 2016, like what you're saying.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that is when like people forget that Kevin De Bruyne was 24, Moussa Dembele was still at Spurs and he was 28, and he was probably in his god mode. For real.
Under Pochettino, when he was like just unstoppable.
Yeah.
Toby and Jan the same, just behind him. They were in their peak at Spurs as well. So, I mean, they losing to Wales in 2016 it was an amazing result for Wales. It's why we love tournament football. But that was the missed opportunity, because the team who won that tournament were like, they were decent. But that Portugal team got out of the group in 3rd with 3 points. Like, they weren't that good.
No, they were pretty shocking, to be honest.
And Belgium could have easily, on a different day, beaten Wales and then gone on to beat Portugal. So it's pretty harsh to say they failed. But I do think, just given where we are and who I support, I think people need to apply this logic. Who do you support? The mighty 3 Lions.
England?
Yes.
Okay.
I think people need to apply similar logic to England, because, as you say, it's difficult to win a tournament. Only one team can. They come around once every 4 years. You can have loads of attacking quality, and you might have a couple of glaring defensive weaknesses which let you down, which is kind of what has happened to Belgium, and will probably happen to England. Justice for Bobby Martinez, basically.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that like it's so fucking easy to just be like, this team has not performed as well as they could, therefore they are shit and a failure. Yeah. When in fact, like the same kind of like you look at Martinez's Wigan team. Do you know what I mean? Like he won the FA Cup, he kept them up a few years in a row, and then they got relegated.
Yeah, which happens to everyone.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's a failure. It's like, you know what I mean. It's. I think if he was a sexier manager, not aesthetically but like tactically, then he might get a bit more leeway, because
or if he'd been at a bigger club.
Yeah, but he'd like, if he had them, if they played a little bit more kind of juicy football, because I think that was the thing against like Canada. And I saw bits and bobs in the Morocco game, but like they were outplayed by Canada. Yeah. And I think it's like more the kind of the level of talent there. You should be beating Canada if you're Belgium anyway, and you should be beating Morocco as well, theoretically at least. But I think it's more the kind of that they almost seem almost attritional in a way, in the way that they play, which you really shouldn't be. Any team that has Kevin De Bruyne in it should be doing something good.
But this is also a criticism that a lot of international teams get when they are stacked with talent. Like the France team that won the last World Cup, the football wasn't always stunningly beautiful, but it was really effective because they used the right players in the right positions and kind of went quite basic. Like Matuidi played on the left wing because they needed somebody to balance out the fact that Mbappe was on the other side. So a bit of pragmatism, but France had the options to do that. And Martinez, like it's difficult when they all play for all of their club sides play differently.
Yeah.
To then merge them into this system that, like Kevin De Bruyne never plays this system at club level, so it can be tricky to get an international squad to be more than the sum of their parts, which a lot of people maybe don't appreciate.
Do you think that maybe this kind of comes down to like just a fundamental lack of understanding from general people about, and probably us as well, about international management and international football and what it actually takes to win? Because we spend all year, we spend like 2 years and then 2 years watching club football, then a summer of international football, then 2 years of club football, and then a winter of international football. But we see qualifiers and we see the Nations League and all that, but they feel kind of isolated. They almost feel like friendlies, even though they're not. But like it's almost a different sport.
It is, like, and also watching qualifiers in the Nations League, it's not, you can't really judge teams too much on that because they're quite often mismatches in quality. So like if Belgium beat Estonia like 8-0 and France only beat them 4-0, it doesn't make Belgium twice as good. It's just one of those. So you get a very small pool of like games to judge an international team from, especially now, by the way, with this World Cup, where managers have got players who are in the middle of a club season and immediately just whisk them off to Qatar without like a 3-week training plan to like get into some rhythm. They're all just and they're all at differing levels of fitness as well, which probably hits Belgium harder than other teams
they're a bit older.
because they're also old. So as we said earlier, it's very easy to say bring in the youth, but aside from like Trossard and Onana at Everton, who played against Morocco, don't really know who they've got that could replace the likes of Toby and Jan. There's a reason they're still playing, I guess. Yeah.
So in summation, do you believe that Belgium their golden generation has been a failure? Joking.
No, they've just been a bit unlucky, but they should probably mix it up now. Because as Kevin De Bruyne said, and I don't know whether he's playing mind games, but he said, no chance we win this, we're all too old. And,
they're going to fucking win it now.
I mean, that would be quite something. But he's joking a bit, but there's also a bit of truth in that. Totally. It seems like it's the last dance, but they're all resigned to not having a very nice one. So now is very much the end of this generation. I want to see Jan Vertonghen at another tournament.
But this is the thing, is that like maybe this is kind of maybe it will kind of take the pressure off a little bit, because it's like, all right, it is the last dance. We've got nothing to lose. Yeah. Well, if they get through, Lukaku got on, so maybe now that he plays over Batshuayi, who I don't rate at all. No. If Lukaku starts playing and they get through the group, then maybe things start to go their way and we'll all look very silly. Yeah, very, very, very possible.